What's up, guys? Today I'm going to do a quick how-to video on loading film in the Ansco Shur Shot. Alright guys, this should only take a few minutes here. It's a fairly simple camera and it really doesn't take much to load it, but it can be kind of tricky if you don't know how to go about it. So we'll just go through real quick and do that. So step one, first thing you want to go for is your dial. You want to go ahead and pull that out. Then there's a latch on the top. You're going to pull the latch down. That's going to release your back door. And inside here is an insert. You pull this insert, wiggle it a little, put that over there. Okay, and you'll see on this insert, there's already a empty spool in here. So if you don't have an empty spool in here, you definitely want that because you need it as a take-up spool. And that take-up spool is going to have to go into the side with the opening, because when you reset that crank, or the wheel rather, or the knob, or whatever you want to call it, right? Whenever you depress that, there's a little finger that's going to go in, and that's actually what's going to... Ooh, that's kind of cool. Anyway, there's a finger that's going to kind of advance that for you, so you definitely want to put it on this side. So get yourself a roll of 120. Okay, so now that you're semi-unrolled, and I would not recommend doing this if you're in a very highly lit area. If it's a very sunny area, you might get some bleed on your negative, so I wouldn't recommend that. You don't have to be in the dark, but just make sure you're not in direct sunlight. So basically you want to take your little tab and you're going to insert the film with the tab facing down towards the larger end, keeping a little bit of pressure on there with your finger, and you just basically roll it. Here's two rollers. Okay. Place it down, and there's going to be a notch in your wheel. Okay, so basically you're just going to take the little tab, insert into said notch, and advance slightly. Okay, then you're going to take this whole contraption and we're going to put it with your take-up spool facing up. You want to try to tighten this a little bit so there's less slack out of here. And then you're going to push it in like that. I wouldn't recommend pushing on the film itself, so you push the edges in till it goes, and then here you're going to kind of push this in but turn it at the same time, and you want it to seat inside that take-up spool. And there it is. It depressed, and just to make sure, we're going to look at the back. Yes, we are good. Okay, so we'll start that about midway. Okay, then we go ahead, we close up the back. And one thing to mention too, I would recommend putting some black tape over here, because you do have paper behind there, but you might get a little bit of bleed through if you don't cover that up. And what it is, it's a viewing window for what number frame you're on, and unfortunately it's actually not usable because it's for Ansco film, and everybody else puts it, I think it lands, their numbers for Kodak and Ilford will land here or here, so it's pretty useless. So just go ahead and cover that over with some tape, just to make sure you don't get any light leaks. And you're going to advance this until you're going to feel the paper and the negative start to pull through, and it'll be a little heavier to pull, or it'll be a little harder to turn, and that's when you know that the film is actually starting to come through with the leader. Okay, so at that point, I know it's getting tight, and I would imagine that the film is probably around here. So I'll give it another couple turns just to make sure that the film is completely covering the film plane back here. Okay, and we should be set. And one thing I want to mention too, actually, and I noted it in the overview video, and I'll link that down below. I did an overview video for this camera, so if you want to check anything else out about it, go ahead and take a look at that. But I had mentioned in there as well the amount of turns, because you can't see what frame you're on the back here. I make 4 turns, will be 4 half turns rather, of this. So 2 full turns would be how I advance it. Now, if you want to land it perfect and get a small gap between your frames, then it would be 3.5 half turns, okay? If that makes sense. 3.5 half turns. So that's pretty much it, guys. As you can see, it's definitely not brain surgery, but the one thing that threw me for a loop, and I probably should have looked this up beforehand, but was pulling that knob out, because initially I would try to get the back out, and I was kind of confused as to why the thing wasn't coming out. Well, it might help if I took it apart correctly, right? So anyway, if this was helpful, if you could do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber already, I'll put that circle thing right around here, and go ahead, click that, and you'll get notified anytime we upload content. And some are overviews, some are how-to videos like this, but everything we upload is film photography related. So if that's your kind of thing, then go ahead and subscribe, and you'll get the latest and the greatest. So until next time, we'll see you.